have with us Jo Burston. Jo is the founder and managing director of Big Data. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me at TRC and being part of your learning series.
Looking forward to understanding a little bit more, about your thoughts on, the LAHFA and, are there any ways that we can get around it?
With LAHFA, it's been around for quite a long time, and the legislation that...
How many years in total has it been around?
It's more than 15 years that I'm aware of. In summary, LAHFA is actually a living away from home allowance, and it's an allowance that has been designed to compensate someone living and working away from their primary residence for a period of time to conduct their employment with a very clear intention of returning home to that primary residence after a certain period of time.
Yeah. How would you define the recent changes that have been made to LAHFA this year?
There's been talk about change in this legislation for quite some years, and I was part of that talk many years ago. Okay. So I probably knew around 2 years ago this change was going to occur.
Yeah, because there have been so many rumours, especially last year.
And we really engineered our business a long time ago to be ready for this change, so it wasn't a surprise for Job Capital at all.
Okay.
On the 1st of October this year, 2012, the government passed a law which disabled temporary residents claiming that their place of permanent residence was an offshore address from continuing to claim that allowance. So essentially, that temporary residents would have to have an abode in Australia that they were living and working away from in order to now claim that allowance.
Yeah.
So it really shut down a big benefit for a lot of contractors, and we know that there's at least 100,000 working holiday makers in Australia at any one time, and at least the same of business visa holders. So it had a widespread effect on that community at large.
What do you think are the immediate effects, and do you think there's any longer term effects, say from
across the next 3 to 5 years? The immediate effect for temporary residents meant a total change in their lifestyle, because rent and meal allowances were no longer being able to be paid. So where someone could afford to live and what they could afford to do within their personal lifestyle sometimes changed by up to 40%.
Right.
So it did make a huge impact on that market. Now, as a result of that, I know that some businesses lost talent and people returned back to their homeland.
Yeah, because that was something I was personally, wondering about, because I know that's, that was a risk, but is that reality?
It did happen. It truly did happen, because there were people that couldn't afford the lifestyle here anymore. Another sort of group of particularly sponsored workers, which we also provide a service for, that determined that it was now time for them to become a permanent resident, because they'd claimed this allowance for a certain period of time and knew the tax benefit was no longer going to be there, so it was time to become a resident. So we have actually processed quite a few residency visas in the last 3 months, as you can imagine.
And can you see any longer term effects over the next, few years? Can you see, apart from the immediate loss of spending power and people opting to go for PR?
I think that there'll be a certain period of time where Australia may not be the most desirable location to come for an expat of the UK and Ireland. So it's now a consideration that those benefits are not available, that is Australia going to be the destination of choice, or are they going to go to Canada or the US, which is alternative choices that they can now make. It doesn't really change the game for Australians that were receiving LAHFA though. When the budget was released on the 6th of May this year, anyone that was claiming that allowance prior to that date and is an Australian that was living and working away from their primary residence, for example, Mary the accountant is living in Sydney, has asked to go to Melbourne for a set term contract, and she's having to leave her abode in Sydney to take up residence in Melbourne to undertake that employment. She now has a 2-year grace period to claim that allowance.
Right.
If she actually started that employment or claiming that allowance post the 6th of May, which is post budget, she could only now claim that for up to 12 months. Those people also within, say, the mining sector or other heavy industrial sectors, where a drive-in, drive-out or fly-in, fly-out arrangement was made, those people actually have no changes to their arrangement whatsoever.
Okay.
So they do continue to claim that allowance.
Okay. Are there any, existing alternatives, any other benefits that they could look?
There absolutely is, and Job Capital developed a very unique product to enable a new package to arrive to the contracting market.
Right.
I know that we are the very first company in Australia to provide this. It's called Smart Salary Packaging, and it allows an individual to help us package their remuneration, including business expenses and the rent that they're paying whilst being in Australia, if they have an intention of staying in Australia permanently, whilst they're looking for a permanent accommodation.
Okay.
So we sought some advice around this over a long period of time.
Yeah.
And
when was this released?
It was actually released in May this year.
Right, so timely.
Yeah. And what we've realised is through this packaging and the hundreds of contractors now that we've since moved on to this package, they are increasing their take-home pay from around up to 30%.
Oh, really? Yes. And how would you say that, is that completely different to LAHFA, or?
It's really the engineered opposite of LAHFA.
Okay.
We take each individual through a 6-step process.
Right.
So each person is strictly qualified on their own individual merits and their own individual circumstances. So really it's not a one-stop or one-boot-fits-all product, which is a bit what LAHFA was.
Yeah.
This is far more sophisticated, but saying that, it's very easy to set up, and we can set it up in a day, and we provide quotes for contractors within 10 minutes.
Who's eligible at the moment for the Smart Salary Packaging?
Luckily for all contractors, regardless of whether you're a working holiday visa, business visa holder, Australian or New Zealander, you are eligible at some point to look at this package. It is actually irrelevant of the length of contract you're on, and it's also irrelevant of the rate that you're earning as well.
Alright, that's brilliant.
So it does open it up to a really wide field.
People that may need it most.
And some people that may not have considered even LAHFA before now are eligible for our package.
So have you got any examples of anybody that has benefited from it?
I would love to give an example, and this is something that I've just jotted down here, but we've got Anthony. He's a qualified traveller from the UK, and he was earning a salary of $72,000 per annum, which is about $38 an hour. Yeah. And he's been able to save over $13,000 a year with Smart Salary Packaging. So he's had an increase of $13,000 on his pay. Right. So normally his pay would have been around $53,000 after tax. He's now taking home $66,000 after tax.
That's quite significant. Is there anywhere if people do want more information that they can seek?
Yes, of course. We can go to our website, which is jobcapital.com.au. There is a Smart Salary Packaging calculator, so you can self-serve and you can step through the process yourself if you want to try it out before you have any contact with us. You can call our office or you can email us as well. So we've got many ways to be in contact, and as I said, it takes around 10 minutes to do an assessment, which is really nothing when you think about a 30% increase in your pay.
Absolutely not.